This is an extract from the Leader Coronavirus Daily podcast by the Evening Standard and hosted by me, David Marsland. To hear the whole thing, search for it on your podcast provider. Nothing has ever stopped the Proms. When the bombs fell on the Queen's Hall in 1941, they upped sticks and moved it to the Albert Hall instead. This year, the threat is coronavirus, which has silenced Britain's concert spaces. But maybe not the Proms. The BBC's announced a series of archived and live, yes, live performances with the ambition to put musicians in the Albert Hall once more and maybe allow an audience. That could mean Elgar will play on, and our editorial column is delighted.
Would coronavirus do what the Blitz never did and silence the Proms? That was the fear. Choirs are banned, orchestras parted, opera has lost its voice, jazz has gone, rock isn't rocking, pop isn't partying. So it's good news that a Proms of sorts will happen this summer, and it's good news that live classical music is returning to London before then, with the start of concerts at Wigmore Hall next week. The government has said repeatedly that it wants live football back, but sadly we've heard less from ministers about music. They should remember it matters too, and that it's their job to help make it happen. A century ago, Germans mocked Britain as the land without music. We proved them wrong then. The music must play on, now.
Our associate editor Julian Glover's with me now. And Julian, I thought live music was dead.
Culture mustn't be dead. We have to keep it alive. We love it. It matters immensely. I get depressed. Am I allowed to say this? I get depressed to hear endless discussion of when football's coming back, but we don't talk enough about the thing we've really lost from our lives, which is live music, live culture, not just as a sort of entertainment, but as part of the human expression of the joy of being alive. So the good news is it's beginning to come back. We're getting, in other parts of Europe, places that have managed COVID better than we've done, which is the entire world, unfortunately. In other parts of Europe, it's been happening for a bit. I've been watching from the Munich Opera House these extraordinary live concerts every Monday night. Well, the big question hanging over London has been, are we going to have a Proms season? The BBC's announced it wants to have the Proms. It's going to start with recorded music and broadcast that and show it on television. But it aims to get back by the end of August with live music in the Royal Albert Hall. It hasn't set out all the details today, and that's deliberate because it's pushing to work out what it can do rather than locking itself in. But the plan will be to have live musicians, and I think they're hoping to get some people in. It won't be many, but somebody will be there to hear it.
I did see in that BBC press release that very careful insertion of the word ambition. It's our ambition to get into the Royal Albert Hall. It would, though, be nice, wouldn't it? And would it make a difference if the only people there are the orchestra themselves and there's no audience?
When Jonas Kaufmann, the great singer, began the Munich series of concerts, he ended it with a little speech after he'd sung, saying it's not the same without an audience. And he's right. Music is about listening, sitting still, cheering. It depends what kind of music you're at a great rock concert. It's taking part. It's the people make the sound better. Next week, really good news for London. Next week, the Wigmore Hall, one of the world's greatest chamber music venues, a place I love very much, is starting on Monday at lunchtime with a live concert. Stephen Huff, a great pianist, playing. It'll be broadcast on Radio 3. So music making is coming back to London, and it's brilliant news.
And let's say that at least some people can go to the Albert Hall. How are they going to get there, Julian?
That's actually quite a tricky question. The transport issue is one of the things that these venues are worrying about, because if people are told they can't come on the tube and the congestion charge is £15 now, maybe for good reasons, it's a big issue. Places like the Wigmore Hall are worried that on top of the sort of decline of inner London life, the loss of travel, easy travel, the fear of using the tube is going to put people off even trying to come. So they may reopen only to find the audiences stay away. So I've written a column today about a remarkable man that I bumped into a few years ago called Andy Byford. He's British. He's obsessed with transport. He doesn't drive. He's full of energy. He ran the transport system in New York. He's coming to London to take over running transport for London. He's going to be the boss of everything. I think he is the guy to do it. It's going to be a nightmare of a job, but he's got the energy to do it. There is one thing that needs to happen soon, which is we have a social distancing rule of 2 meters. Nobody quite knows why. I mean, maybe 4 meters would be safer. Perhaps, 10 meters would be safer. But anyway, we went for 2 meters. Lots of other places didn't. Spain, I think, has 2 meters. Germany has 1.5 meters. France, somewhere between 1 meter and 1.5 meters. It makes a massive difference to public transport. So getting that clarity is important. Johnson is clearly getting the message. I know people have been telling him. He hasn't made a decision on that. The government doesn't make many decisions on anything at the moment. That's one of the big tasks transport bosses will have to do, to show it can be safe to have 1 meter apart, to get people using the tube. And the message will need to shift from don't use the tube or buses unless you're a key worker to use it carefully as part of normal life.
And actually on that issue of the 2 meter social distancing, and bringing it back to culture just for a second, Julian, I've seen photographs of theatres who have ripped out some of their seats. So you've got 2 seats, then a big gap, then another 2 seats. And I've seen these and I thought, that's actually a little bit sad. And also, I wonder how much tickets are going to cost if half the auditorium can't be filled.
Yeah, so those are heartbreaking pictures. And of course, those are not done at 2 meter social distancing. So it'd be even tougher here. Yeah, can you imagine going to a rock concert where you sort of had to stand alone and gyrate or miles away with somebody else? It's just not going to happen. I mean, obviously, all this is lunatic. I mean, we have to be honest here. I mean, none of it's going to happen. As soon as you open a cafe or a shop, everybody just behaves normally. And that's what they should do, because I'm a heretic in all of this. I'm slightly doubtful that the public are ever going to social distance. We just got to get back to normal life. But yeah, they're going to pretend. And what they'll do at the start is show this is what it looks like. At least get some people in there. They haven't thrown the seats away they've taken out. They can always put them back. The bolts will be on the floor to put them in. But we can't just wait until the mysterious vaccine arrives or until somehow we're guaranteed it's safe to start to do things. So it's really important we bring this back, because we can't just have these sort of amateur live streams. It was very charming for a little bit at the start of lockdown to see famous and not so famous people playing the oboe in their bathroom. But that's not real music making. It's a sort of desperate, sad thing. I mean, just think about it. It has never been illegal or banned by any kind of rule, even under Oliver Cromwell, to make music together in our country in the whole history of human existence until now. It has never happened before, and we have to get away from that restriction as soon as we can and allow people to perform together. We can't just hang around hoping that one day some committee somewhere will tell us it's safe. We've got to get on with it.
Search for the Leader Coronavirus Daily on any podcast provider to hear more from the podcast.